Hello everyone and a warm welcome back to our channel. As always, if you haven't already, go and check out our other videos. In this video we move on to Season 1, Episode 12, Krusty Gets Busted. This episode first aired on the 29th of April 1990. This episode also finished in 13th place from May the 23rd to the 29th. Matt Groening has also listed it as his 9th favourite episode of the show.
We'll start off with debuting characters. Basically, there's only one that makes the on-screen debut, but there is a couple of others that make their speaking role debut. Judge Snyder is the only debuting character, based in the premise of it being his actual first show on the series. Basically, he's a bit part player in this episode and the series as a whole. But there's also two debuting speaking roles in this one. Kent Brotman, who does a newscast scene when it's being reported about Krusty, and also it's Sideshow Bob's first speaking role.
As a major character. Yeah, he was in the background scene in the episode Telltale Head. And Bob's design was revamped with his original afro being turned into his now famous palm tree style. James Earl Jones was originally cast as Bob, but the producers chose to try Kelsey Grammer.
Right. And also this episode, it marks the first episode where the main storyline is actually a supporting character.
And not a Simpsons one.
With the whole Krusty element to it. But although it's Krusty who's the central, well, tries to come across being the central character in this one, Homer and Bart also have big parts in this one. Homer, basically his story is helping the police try to put Krusty behind bars for the crime, but Bart is trying to prove his innocence. So you basically got a plot thread there of two family members butting heads over the same thing, but different sides of that.
Well, Bart don't want his hero to get sent to prison.
Yeah.
At first, though, he doesn't believe he's either innocent or guilty. He's sat on the fence.
He doesn't want to believe it, but then he turns to the fact of wanting to prove his innocence. So we get a bit of backstory to Krusty. We don't learn his real name in this episode.
We learn that in next season.
It's either next season or season. It's one of the early seasons, but not just yet. But through this, we do find out that he's had a heart attack on stage previously, which has led to him having a pacemaker installed. They do show a clip of that. Basically of him having the heart attack and the children in the audience just thinking it's part of the act. That's basically in reference to Tommy Cooper, who sadly suffered a heart attack when he was performing on stage.
Everyone thought it was part of the act.
Yeah, and basically they lost precious seconds because of that, because basically part of the act, so he did unfortunately sadly die due to that heart attack. But obviously in this episode, Krusty survives it. Basically, the seeds are sown that he doesn't treat his sideshows very well, because he doesn't treat Sideshow Mel any better in later episodes either. Basically for entertainment purposes, wanting to shoot Bob out of cannons and all that sort of thing, because the kids love it, even though Bob at this point doesn't show any anger towards that one. So with Krusty himself, his storyline is set up. Firstly, Homer is asked by Marge to go and get ice cream from the Quickie Mart.
Yeah, and backstory with the ice cream. When Homer buys the ice cream, the containers are brown and white in the freezer. Yet when he carries the container of ice cream up to the counter for purchase, it turns out they were pink. I think in the early season, in season 1, the animations were a bit different, like characters' colour in certain episodes.
Yeah, it's hard to work out whether they were true errors that they didn't pick up on in editing or whether they just left them in just to try and catch the audience out or something to that effect. But yeah, with this, you see Krusty straight away here anyway, or what we believe is Krusty. Basically, at this point, he's got his robbery mask on.
Why would you have a robbery mask on when he's already dressed as a clown?
If you're going to do that, just rob the place straight away. Don't try and scope it out. But yes, as soon as he pulls a gun, Homer, in an act of cowardice, just jumps into a shelf display of potato chips. Once Krusty/Bob is telling Apu what to do with the money, it comes across that Apu's been robbed previously, because he's like, yeah, I work in a convenience store, I know the procedure and all this.
Not being robbed by a snake, though.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet.
But yeah, so yeah, with this, it's more Apu has the connection with Krusty with this one, or Bob with this one. He's the one being robbed. Yeah, it's Homer that's the chief witness.
Yeah, because Homer didn't see his face properly.
Yeah,
it was Apu. Apu should have been in the courthouse, not Homer.
And Homer doesn't even realise who it is until he gives the sketch to the police, even though he's obviously giving them the sketch on what he remembers. Yeah, it takes a sketch for him to actually twig that it's Krusty.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though he doesn't even know what Krusty's name is. With Apu and Homer, though.
But then the guy doing the sketch, though, he does the sketch, but then he actually draws Krusty. Literally draws Krusty.
Yeah. But with Apu and Homer as well, it doesn't come across in this one that they're on first name terms yet. Well, Homer knows Apu by name, but Apu doesn't know Homer by name yet. So it's basically sort of a Quickie Mart Clark customer sort of relationship, although eventually they would obviously get to know each other on first name terms. And then basically Homer then goes home, basically trying to tell the family what's happened, but at the same point not wanting Bart to find out, tries to shoo him away from television, even though it probably would have been smarter to send him to his room before he puts the TV on.
This is Homer, though.
Yeah. But then, once they reported that Krusty's been arrested, they then revealed the store surveillance footage.
Yeah, but you wouldn't add a voice, would you? It would just image.
Yeah.
And it is revealed that Homer doesn't like Patty and Selma. He portrays them as the gruesome twosomes.
Yeah, they seem hurt by this, or they seem shocked by this, even though in previous episodes they've been bad-mouthing Homer to Marge.
So now it's mutual. Now you find out it's mutual.
Yeah, they try to act out like they're hurt by the fact he's insulted them, even though they've done it to him previously.
And in the footage also you find him reading a magazine down one of the aisles, Krusty.
Yeah, which obviously come into the storyline later on with his illiteracy and all that sort of, all the other evidence that Bart and Lisa compile. But at the same point, with surveillance footage, why have the TV station got that? That should be key evidence.
Yeah, because that's part of the investigation.
Yeah, so this is just showing that the police are inept to begin with, that they're giving key information away, which could hamper the case anyway. So basically, this is where the split goes off. Homer's already given a positive ID on Krusty with the lineup, even though at first
You wouldn't take it seriously.
Yeah, it's just because, oh, it's clowns, so he's got to laugh. Basically, because they're clowns and they're funny. So yeah, he's then basically the key witness for the prosecution to send Krusty to prison. But at this point, although Bart's trying to deny the fact that Krusty would do such a thing, he then does eventually come to the conclusion that Krusty's not done it, and he's determined to prove his innocence by enlisting Lisa's help. Anyway, even though at first Lisa doesn't believe that Krusty's innocent, she only joins Bart on this adventure because he admits to Lisa that he knows that she's smarter than he is. But then through their investigation goes to Quickie Mart, like you said, the whole reading of the magazine, because he found out in court
yeah,
that
he can't read, yeah, he's illiterate.
and then also due to his pacemaker, he shouldn't have been anywhere near the microwave, but in the surveillance footage he's shown microwaving the burrito or something along those lines. So it's like, well, he shouldn't be standing there because of the pacemaker, and that's when Lisa starts to think that Krusty's innocent as well. And then it leads to the courtroom where Homer's going up to the stand to give his evidence against Krusty, and Bart's pleading with him not to do it.
He hesitates because he goes, point him out, and he hesitates.
Yeah.
Is that a conscience that he doesn't want to send Bart's hero to prison?
Yeah, I think that's mainly what they were trying to get at. He wants to do the right, what he believes the right thing, because obviously at this point all the evidence is pointing towards Krusty, but at the same point he knows it's gonna upset Bart for Krusty to go to prison. But obviously through all this, Krusty's found guilty. We find out about his gambling addiction in this episode, which might explain how he ends up with
the worst lawyer possible.
Well, is this one the worst, or is it Lionel Hutz? But
I've got a side in this one.
Yeah, because basically as soon as the guilty verdict is given, the lawyer just basically turns around and just goes, "I knew it. This happens to me every single time." So he's never won a case in his life, yet it's like, this is the best that Krusty could afford, or this is the best lawyer that Krusty could think of. But even at this point, Bart's still not giving up. They go to see Sideshow Bob in the meantime, and basically, although all the kids in the audience are getting into the whole elements of the show, Bart's just not getting into it, because he's just like, no one can be as good as Krusty is entertaining. So Bob spots him and brings him onto stage, where that's where Bart reveals that both he and Lisa believe that Krusty's innocent. Basically tells Bob why, and Bob just throws it off. The pacemaker instance, he's like, well, Krusty would never listen to medical advice anyway. The reading magazine, he tries to bluff that off as being, well, you don't have to read it, just look at the pictures.
But Bart twigs when Sideshow Bob goes, "I've got big shoes to fill." So that's when Bart realises, Krusty's got smaller feet when Bob's got big feet.
And obviously, through Homer standing on Krusty's feet, he stands on them right on the edge of the long shoe. And if that was the case, Krusty wouldn't have felt it anyway.
No, he wouldn't have done.
So it's like, yeah, and he's basically been in Sideshow Bob's dressing room and seen he's got large feet anyway. So that's where it twigs, and basically, yeah, he's then arrested. Then this is where they put in a reference to Scooby-Doo. Like randomness, they just throw in the usual line that every single criminal puts in Scooby-Doo. I would have got away with it if it wasn't for those meddlesome kids. And yeah, Krusty is then basically having to go at Chief Wiggum for this fact that he didn't pick up on the shoe bit. I mean, at the same point, okay, yeah, key piece of evidence, but who else was picking up on it? Basically shows how inept the entire town is, that it took a 10-year-old boy to suddenly realise that big shoes, Krusty's got small feet, yet Krusty's sort of like putting it to Wiggum that...
Why is it just Wiggum's responsibility? There's so many people on the police force.
Yeah, I mean, or at this point, were they still trying to say that Wiggum was an inept police officer? Because even with this one, he has a slightly different appearance with his hair.
Yeah, I know. He does have a slight appearance with his hair. In this one, his hair is black, and in a few earlier episodes as well. But it's not until after a few years that Wiggum's hair becomes blue. So there's another character change.
Yeah.
Then.
So were you trying to say here, when Krusty was having a go at him, that Wiggum's actually good at his job in this one? Or is he actually inept anyway?
He was more serious in this one.
Well,
in my opinion.
Yeah, to be fair, he has been shown as being serious, similar to Telltale Head when he's trying to get information on the statue. But yeah, that's basically it for the main element of it. Background on Itchy and Scratchy. in this episode, although we've seen an Itchy and Scratchy episode already, this is the first episode to actually show a more in-depth cartoon of it. Basically, the premise for them was the creators wanted to do a version of Tom and Jerry, but they wanted to make it a lot more violent, even if with the episode they did in this one, it wasn't as violent as it would turn out to be. Also, with Krusty, his prison uniform number, the A113, that's an in-house joke that was added by Brad Bird. Basically, he likes to put that number into every single episode he directs, and it's a nod to the number of a classroom at his old film college.
Yep, and also in later episodes, Krusty doesn't remember who Bart and Lisa is, but in the end of this episode...
Yeah, because he's like basically going on about everybody else had given up on him and it was only thanks to Bart, basically. Yeah. But like you say... He
forgets who he is in later episodes.
Yeah, basically Bart has to remind him, even giving nods back to this episode.
Yeah, and another one, animation bump. Compared to other first season episodes, would you agree that the animation in this one was higher quality?
Yeah, there was more emphasis on the animation in this one. As I say, obviously it had its little issues with continuity errors, but again, as we said previously, there was quite a few in this series anyway, so early season mistake sort of thing.
And a deleted part of one of the scenes, when Patty and Selma were showing a slideshow on their vacation to the actual family, it originally contained images of them being detained for bringing heroin into America.
Yeah, why did they delete that scene? That scene would have been
that would have been a good scene, that, wouldn't it? I mean, two unlikely people getting arrested for...
Smuggling. And at the same point, it could have just been a throwaway. The fact they were set up for it, just had it planted in the suitcases. So not really sure why they deleted that in the first place.
Oh yeah, true, yeah. And originally, before the episode, Santa Bob wasn't actually supposed to speak. All his conversations would be just reduced to the slide whistle.
So that seems strange in itself. So was it the fact of, was he even going to be the culprit in the end, if that was the case then? Or because it doesn't make sense if he weren't originally supposed to speak. How was he going to be convicted then?
Yeah, exactly.
Unless it was all going to be Bart. But yeah.
And yeah, another one. When Reverend Lovejoy refers to Krusty as the Crown Prince of Corruption, this is an actual reference to the Batman villain the Joker, who is often called the Crown Prince of Crime. You do a lot of references, don't they, with films and real life?
Well, yeah, they don't rely on it as much in the early series as what they do now, though.
They do, yeah, I know you're saying.
Basically now it's like they do whole episodes on TV shows or films. But yes, just reference nods there. Anything else to add from this one?
I think that's it for that one. Now, let's work out positives and the negatives of the episode. As we'll start with the negatives of the episode.
Well, the surveillance footage for one. I know obviously it was put in more to let Patty and Selma know what Homer think about them, but at the same point, as we said, it's pretty stupid of the local law enforcement to be releasing that evidence. You wouldn't release that evidence into the viewing public. So it's sort of like, yeah, and the fact of you can hear the audio in it as well.
Another negative would be not realising the size of the actual feet, and it takes a 10-year-old to figure it out when you've got a big police force.
Yeah, just like so obvious that he was just saving that as the big reveal to get Krusty off. But when you think about it, it's just like, well, they the hints in pretty early on when Krusty was being escorted into the courtroom without the clown feet. You could see he had small feet. Clearly indicate that Homer had stood on the edge of the feet.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, also negatives, it's like when Marge rings a power plant, just coincidentally Homer picks up.
Exactly.
Just so much of a coincidence.
Another negative, don't know if you'd agree with me, but Apu not being a witness.
Yeah, it's like Homer's portrayed as being the main witness, even though
He didn't actually see his
as
face.
we've already discussed.
Yeah.
He hides as soon as the gun is pulled. It's Apu that is robbed at gunpoint, and again, Homer doesn't even know who it is until he's done the sketch. And if he doesn't know who it is, how does he know what he looks like, sort of thing?
Exactly.
So yeah, just playing again on his stupidity, basically. Any other negatives?
I can't think of any more negatives. Now, positives?
Well, the main positive's got to be Bart really not willing to give up on his hero. I mean, okay, the evidence is damning on him, but at the same point, the fact that he's willing to go to bat so much for this one. So it puts in the perspective of how much Krusty means to him.
I'd agree with that one.
Even though, a side note with that, the original idea he had, because if you notice later on in the series, the episode where Homer is impersonating Krusty, that they look alike. There was an early story that they were originally going to have Krusty as being Homer, and the whole premise of that was Bart has no respect for Homer, but has all the respect in the world for Krusty, just to base hammer home that fact that, yeah, even though he doesn't respect his father, he respects the person that his father's playing. So, yeah, basically, as I say, he just, with that point of him trying to prove Krusty's innocence, it's just the fact of he believes in Krusty so much, he's his idol. Other positives?
I'd say, another positive with, like I just mentioned before, the animation quality, the improvement of it.
Yeah, basically the animation picks up a bit, because, yeah, I know what you're saying, the earlier episodes of this series, it was a bit, even though we're still getting little tidbits, like we mentioned, Wiggum, different colour hair, Lou is still yellow in this episode, he hasn't turned to his darker skin colour yet, but again, first series is still trying to iron out the little details, but these sort of put more towards the quality of the animation that they're getting towards with the upcoming series.
Would you see any more positives?
I can't think any more off the top of my head.
Okay, well, that's it for the video. If you can think of a positive or negative which we've missed out, feel free to comment. Or if we've said a positive or a negative which you don't agree with,
or just anything that you don't agree with.
Anything you don't agree with in the video, please comment down below. Like,
share, subscribe.
Yeah, and also comment. And that's it for the video, and we'll see you next time.